Hey, so last night I flew back into Washington, D.C., and I hadn't been here in 3 months. And there's never been a time in my entire life that I would come into Washington, particularly at night. You're driving into the city from the airport and you see the monuments lit up. And there has never been a time in my entire life that I haven't been inspired and proud and always kind of happy to be back in the United States. If I had been away, seeing the Washington Monument, seeing the Lincoln Monument, seeing the Jefferson Monument all lit up in the sky. And last night was the first time in my life that I was just saddened to see the monuments because I felt that they were monuments to a time gone by and to men whose principles are just being trampled on. And I'm not someone who thinks that it's negative to look at reality clear-eyed. We have to look at it in order to transform it, because first we have to really see what is going on. Well, I do think enough people see what's going on, but at the same time, look at the darkness, but don't dwell on it. You have to look at it or you're in denial. But if you look too much and you just spiral down, that doesn't help either. But then this morning, I read an article about what the Democrats have come up with as a kind of Project 2029. That didn't make me feel any better because it's the same people basically who, drove the car that got us into the mess that we are in now. And I've been saying for years, the people who drove us into this ditch are not the ones who drive us out of it. And it's a lot of the same, the sort of what the Democratic Party has become, which is, we want to help you, but not so much that to go any further would offend our donor base. And that, to me, is what really paved the way for Trump. We need to go back to the traditional values of the Democratic Party much more vociferously. But the point for me simply is that I saw that and I thought, okay, here we have the trampling on American values and a real, not just a threat to our democracy, the demolition of our democracy underway. And then we have what's offered up by the party as like, just a shiny version of same old, which once again, that's why I've been out doing what I've been doing in the last few years, which is arguing that that is not enough of a compelling alternative to Trump's agenda. For many of us, our worst nightmares come true. Well, now our greatest imaginings need to come true. And that's what all this says to me. Things are if I can't look at anything that is kind of what's offered to us now and say, number one, that I like it, or number two, that I think it's an adequate response to it, then what that says to me is that you and I have to just start over and generate new beginnings. And that's what this has got to be about. And what I see is this happening not only in my life, but in the life of everyone I see. It's a time of recalibration, letting go some things that just aren't workable, aren't adequate to the challenges that we're all living through, and yet seeds of new beginnings. So I hope this is a day of great new beginnings for you, both in your personal life and in your imagining what's possible for our country and for our world. Some real bad guys are doing some really terrible things in the world. So we have to counter all that. No, but it's not enough to just resist them. But we have to bring forth a far more beautiful world. And I think we can. All right, see you later.